History Podcast, and today we're interviewing Dr. Gopatindam. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
Gopinathan.
Gopinathan, thank you. Paliyath. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
And now we should probably be getting to the presentation.
Yeah, do you want to go through a question and answer format, or do you want me to give a presentation?
I think you can do the presentation, and then I can just pop in every so often to ask questions.
Okay.
And after that, after about 30 to 35 minutes of that, we can go into answering the audience questions.
Yeah.
If that works.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So tell me when you are ready to start.
I'm ready to go.
Okay. So what is the share? Open share tray. I don't see my presentation. How do I? Does that block everything? This is my presentation.
All right, let me just see.
Oh yeah, the PowerPoint here. Sorry. Okay.
No worries.
Okay. So ready to start?
Yep, I'm ready to go.
All right. Okay. My name is Dr Paliyath. I'm a professor at the University of Guelph. I work in the Department of Plant Agriculture. And I'm originally from India, and I did my early study in University of Mysore, then University of Calicut, and I did my PhD at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. And then I moved to US. I worked in the US for about 3-4 years. Came to University of Waterloo and then to University of Guelph. So my major area of work is post-harvest biology and technology. My work is on plants and essence. I've worked on this area for about 30 years plus. I also work on the functional foods, the health effects of fruits, vegetables, the vegetable foods and vegetable components in preventing the chronic diseases. So that's another area that I'm looking into. And recently I'm looking at the nanotechnology as a tool to the that's who they are. One of the that we face with respect to is
Don't mind me saying your internet's cutting out.
Yeah.
Your voice is cutting out a little bit. Do you mind if you repeat some of that?
Or is this too high?
No, it's perfect now. It's perfect now.
Okay, so continue.
You can continue now. Sorry, it was just a brief glitch in the system, I guess.
To reduce the volume.
No, it's just a little glitch in Teams itself. It's resolved itself. You can continue.
Okay. So one of the major issues with respect to agriculture is the food loss, irrespective of whatever area you are looking at. And especially in fruit and vegetable sector, where the produce has to be kept cold, preferably, depending on the nature of the produce. The loss can vary, but still it is in the range of 30 to 40% or even more in tropical areas where we don't have enough storage facilities. The loss can be over 50%. And so recently, I mean, there has been a lot of stress on how much about food production, that in a decade or so, the population is going to increase, and we are going to hit 9 billion population soon, and whether we are producing enough food, and so people are encouraging more and more of food production without really stressing the importance of preventing the food loss. So this is, if we are able to prevent the food loss, we will have enough food to feed more than 9 billion people. So that has been the strategy we have been taking. And so this technology, hexanol-based technologies that I am going to talk about today, is based on my work on the membranes and inhibition of membrane degradation during senescence, which is one of the major factors of the plant senescence, fruit senescence, ripening, damage, etc. I'm going to skip some of these slides and come to some of the major ones. So these are all with respect to India. So one thing people have to focus on the agriculture is the production demand relations. Like diversifying the production is one of the key issues, like what is going to be in the market. So in some places, people just produce enough fruits and vegetables for their purpose, but some people, or most people, do produce it for selling. Recently in India, there was one issue where they were throwing out tomatoes because the price of tomatoes went down to about 75 the paise, or like 1 rupee. It's like 15 cents or 20 cents a pound, or even less than that. And so they just were dumping the tomatoes in the road and in the field. And so I hear so many of these cases in about such cases in India, where people are totally uncoordinated, in the sense that they produce materials without really thinking where they are going to sell it, and then the price drops, and they don't have enough storage facilities, or they don't think about processing it, and so it goes waste. So it is an entire waste, and so this is one thing that people have to look into. So for example, in this field, you see the eggplant being cultivated here. This person is working here. You see cabbage in the background. There is tomato in the background. So these are plum tomatoes. These are going into the market. So that is one of the important aspects of the fruit and vegetable production, irrespective of which region of the world you are coming from. Production, the utilization, the post-harvest, storage, shipping, consumer. So that whole equation has to be balanced. And the loss is very high in every sector. And so, for example, people throw out food, good food, and so this has been one of the biggest problems, including Asia, Europe, all that areas. So food wastage in India itself is considered as a huge loss. 58,000 crores is like more than $1 or $2 billion, but it's more than that, because there are not too many accounts of what is really going on in India. They are the second largest producers of fruits and vegetables in the world, after US, and so they do incur a lot of losses. So there was a study conducted in this report is from 2011 by Gustafsson et al. And this was a production from the Food and Agricultural Organization, and they quantified the production of fruits and vegetables and the losses in the value chain. So for example, here you see the percent loss. And
so
don't
mind me interrupting quickly. It seems like the PowerPoint's not moving.
PowerPoint is not moving?
Yeah, you're still on the first slide on the screen.
Why is it? I don't know, because I'm in the slide 15 or something like that.
Huh. Do you mind if you send me the PowerPoints and I can maybe put it in the description of the video?
I presented it in the class. Do you have the record of it?
Oh, I think I do.
Yeah.
I'll grab that and I'll put it on there. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So I close this.
Yeah, I can close it. Oh, now it's working.
Now you can see.
Yeah, now it's working again.
Okay, so maybe I will just leave it in this mode.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sounds perfect.
Okay, so what you are seeing here is the laws in food law, the fruit and vegetable laws in various sectors. So, for example, this is the production, and then there is the post-harvest, storage post-harvest, and this is the consumer. So, generally, for the fruit and vegetable loss is much higher at the consumer level in the industrialized nations, while it is much lower in the developing countries and industrialized Asia. So, but irrespective of that, you can percent of the fruits and vegetables is just gone from the in many of the regions of this world. And so this is per capita loss. Per capita loss is much higher in this industrialist world again, and much lower in other part like Africa, Asia, etc. So you see, the production sector the loss is about 20% or even lower, and this whole sector can be considered as a post-harvest loss. So this is a major issue.
Do you mind if I interrupt and ask a quick question?
Yes.
So the chemical EFF, I think it's what it's called.
It's a composition.
The composite.
It's a composition made from hexanol. See, hexanol is a organic compound. It is not soluble in water. You cannot directly spray it on plants, or you cannot directly dip fruits in hexanol. It will damage the fruits. It's like gasoline. I mean, like it's not soluble with water. It's like oil. That's what I should say. And so to make it more applicable to the plants, like so we made this composition containing a soap-like material and the hexanol alcohol. So it's all blended together, and that is what is called as EFF, an enhanced freshness formulation. So it's a very safe sort of formulation, like it's soapy solution. Once you dilute it in water, it just turns slightly milky, and so you can even put your hands in it. It's not toxic.
So how has this affected the post-harvest losses within various fruits and vegetables?
You are talking about the percentage of savings?
Yeah.
So it can prevent. So if you spray it in a field, you can prevent. Suppose you are getting about 50% loss. You can prevent at least 30 to 40% of the loss just by pre-harvest treatment. And in some cases, you can also provide the vapor treatments which can further enhance the savings. So there are multiple modes of application. You can give it as a spray, so you get optimal quality fruits. And with this pre-harvest sprays is what we have seen is the best. So what it does is when you spray it before harvest, like for example, a month before harvest or 2 weeks before harvest, the fruit get enough time, and fruit grows in a what is called as a stress mode. So the fruit is more stress tolerant, and so it keeps much better. So the metabolism is shifted in such a way that its degradation is prevented. So more of constructive sort of the reactions go on in the fruits. So like for example, let's say you are taking cherry.
Mm-hmm.
So usually a ripe cherry, you can keep it maybe a week and then the quality goes bad. But if you are treating with this formulation, you can keep it at least for 20 to 30 days in the cold. So usually we get an extension of interval 2 to 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes even more, like banana, for example, which hardly lasts 8 to 9 days on the shelf. We can keep it banana for over 40, 45 days. So
Wow.
in this case, what we do is you have to treat the fruits once it comes into the storage area in the solution. You dip it for 3 to 5 minutes. You can store it. You can also spray it, but dipping is okay for bananas. And then you store it at around 10 degrees Celsius or 15 degrees Celsius, where the tropical produce are stored. And it will just stay there for over more than a month. And when you need it, you can bring it out and then it will ripen as usual.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so banana is one of the most responsive fruits. Even mango is quite good. Tropical produce uh, are the best in one way. I mean, which respond to this particular um, the EFF or hexanol. In temperate fruits, we have got good results with peach, apple, in reduction of some of the physiological disorders, um, prevention of drop. Like sometimes you have seen, you go to an apple orchard, 50% of the apple is on the ground. So with this treatment, you can prevent the apple drop, and so that will be an advantage to the growers, even if nothing else happens. So yeah, so depending on the fruit, it gives different type of effect. But generally, it enhances the quality, it enhances shelf life.
Thank you. I've got a question. Was hexanol discovered to be such a great preservation agent?
Hexanol was discovered, it's quite by accident, in the sense that I was working on sweet corn at that time point, and so my objective was to I was looking at the enzyme phospholipase D, which degrades membranes. You know, sweet corn cannot be kept in the cold for a long time, so I was wondering what's happening to the membrane structure. So we were looking at this and the enzyme activity, and so one thing that happens when corn is stored in the cold is that it starts respiring anaerobically. So there are two products that are being formed: ethanol and acetaldehyde. So I was checking the effect of ethanol and acetaldehyde on phospholipase D activity. Phospholipase D destroys the membrane. So that is the reason why I checked these two compounds. And then I found that acetaldehyde started inhibiting the activity of phospholipase D. And so that's the moment I thought maybe this could be useful. So I just went ahead and tried only hexanol, because now the alcohols below hexanol like pentanol, butanol, propanol, they are not very good compounds to work with, and they have very strong flavors. But hexanol is what's called as a green flavor. So because when you cut vegetables like beans, cucumber, you get that hexanol production and that nice flavor. So I tried hexanol and it inhibited phospholipase D activity over 90%. Um, so that was the moment then I started developing the compositions, how it can be used, or developing methods for the use of hexanol in different foods and vegetables. So this is a very special sort of a enzyme activity. Like phospholipase D, um, during its reaction, if it sees alcohol, it uses alcohol instead of water to complete the reaction. But so the hexanol is an aldehyde, so it cannot take part in a reaction. So it is potentially blocking the phospholipase D reaction.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'll proceed.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so ideally the fruits and vegetables should have the it should be there should be a very highly designed value chain where the growers produce the fruits and vegetables, and there are people or the grower organizations which are involved in storing those, like for example, the Apple Growers Association, like the Norfolk Fruit Growers, or in the Blue Water. So from where the fruit vegetables can be distributed and then reaches the consumer. So if the value chain is very well maintained, then we don't have too much of a fruit and vegetable loss. So these are all just the places where people manage the fruit and vegetable distribution in fashion. For example, I showed this picture of mango, which is a perfect mango, beautiful mango, but the way they have arranged it. So one thing people have to take care is that when they pack fruits, ripe fruits, you cannot pack it one over the other, because the pressure exerted by fruits on the bottom is much higher, so it damages the fruit. So this is really a thoughtless process. I mean, people produce it and then so many of the fruit can go waste that way. So there is post-harvest shelf life and quality is determined by several factors. You can control, ethylene is the primary hormone involved in it. So you can control the biosynthesis of ethylene and then block many of the activity, which is done through, see, for example, the compound called Smart Fresh, which is now being applied to apples, pears, etc. North America. So you get all these fruits which are very firm, but it doesn't have any taste. I mean, taste in the sense that it doesn't have any flavor. They're really not of a great quality, but it stores well. Um, and so all these factors that I have written here, they are all related to the post-harvest. And so ethylene is one of the primary hormones involved. The ethylene starts a lot of reactions within the fruits, and the phospholipase D is one of the enzymes involved in that sequence in the signal transduction. So you can block ethylene or you can block phospholipase D. You get the same sort of an effect. So this is XNR. It's a very simple molecule, 6 carbons, and it's an aldehyde. So when you cut cucumber or beans, or you get this flavor, and that flavor is this particular compound. And it is approved by the FDA, and it's generally regarded as safe. So people add it to fruit salads and to get the green flavor, or they usually use it in chewing gums to get that green flavor. And it's a very inexpensive sort of a chemical. It can synthesize it. It's just as natural, but it's a liquid at room temperature, and so it's hydrophobic, so it doesn't mix with water. So we develop the compositions. So I'm going to skip this. I'm talking about the mechanism. So this is the general sequence of reactions that occur during the damage.
We don't mind me interrupting again, but slides are stuck again, so do you mind if you fiddle around a little bit?
Which one?
The slide show seems to be stuck again, so do you mind if you fiddle around a little bit?
This one?
Yeah, it's stuck on the slide that showcases the amount of food losses. So do you mind if you fiddle around with the PowerPoint a little bit?
This one?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, it's still not working. I'll just have to figure that out in post.
Oh, so slides are not moving?
Yeah, slides aren't moving.
So you want to put your presentation?
I'll get a copy of the presentation. I'll put some stuff in post for editing purposes.
Okay. Yeah, so remember that presentation I sent you, you can post it, or there is a link
Exactly.
to it in the YouTube.
I'll post some extra slides on the YouTube and BitChute versions.
Yeah. Or yeah, just with the YouTube, you can watch that, it's free. Okay, so what I'll just continue talking, and then if you want, you can ask questions, okay?
Sounds good.
So what will say? Yeah, so we have multiple products. Um, yeah, so we use this solution for pre-harvest sprays, which is just the XNR stock formulation, which is diluted in water, 1 liter diluted to 50 liter. So usually if you have 1 liter, you can probably reach about an acre in some cases. If the trees are big, then you may need more. So um, probably if the trees are big, you may need about 100. But high density orchards, you may be able to get away with 50 liters per acre. So that is like 125 liters per hectare. And if the if the droplets are fine, that is much nicer. So what we do is we spray it on the fruit so that it kind of forms kind of beads on the fruit, small droplets. So then just leave it after spraying, and it will get absorbed, and it does the action. We can also give the external vapor treatment, which is from 0.01 to 0.2.
Hold on, your voice is cutting out a little bit. Hold on, can you repeat that? Your voice cut out a little bit. Sorry, I think Teams is acting up. But can you repeat that? Hold on, something's happened. Why did it mute and how do I unmute it?
Okay.
Perfect. Now we can begin the rest of the presentation.
Okay, so I will start sharing. Okay, so I'll just leave it in this format. Okay. All right. So I was talking about the type of formulations or products that could be developed from XNR, and one being the EFF, the XNR formulation. This is applied as a pre-harvest spray a couple of times before the fruit is harvested, or in some cases the hexane can be given as a vapor because it vaporizes well, and so you can have a chamber or a room where you can give a defined concentration of hexanol and expose it for 12 to 24 hours, and this is ideal for some fruit like bell pepper, and it's even works for avocado, mango, etc. or you could use a dip. You can use the fruit and then dip in a solution of hexanol, which is usually used for spray, and give a dip for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then take it and just simply room dry it and store it at the ideal temperature. If it is tropical produce, it's stored at 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. If it is temperate produce, you can store it 4 degrees or below. So it works in many ways. And one thing is that whatever treatment you are giving, it has to be given before the fruit starts ripening. Once the fruit starts ripen, then the treatment doesn't have any effect. Or if you dip or spray on a ripe fruit, it doesn't improve the quality of fruits. So everything has to be done before the fruit starts ripening. So that's one important thing to remember. Okay, so the solution, this is stock solution. It looks like it's very clear. Contains hexanol in a ratio volume by volume. A surfactant like P20 and alcohol. It gives, once it is diluted, it forms tiny micelles, so it's nanomicelles, and they don't aggregate, or so they are quite free in the solution. Okay, so we'll talk about some of the treatments that we gave. This was apples in the Simcoe research station. I mentioned about the apple drop while before, and so you see this is one of the problem with many of the apples. Nearly 50% of the apples are fallen, and so you can't use this because sometimes there may be bacteria contamination. So here we have one row of untreated apples which is controlled. Here we have one row of treated apples, and you see where there are very few apples that are dropped in this treated with formulation. So the formulation was sprayed twice, 30 day and 15 day before the harvest. So this also works for dipping in apples. For example, you might have heard about superficial scald. Here is this scald that's developing on Portland apples. Portland is notorious for this development of scald, whole apple turns brown. So we dip it in a solution of hexanol, the EFF solution, and there is no scald development in these apples. This is after 7 to 8 months of storage. It also works very well on cherries. So for example, these are Bing cherries. And when cherry ripens, so this is the purple coloration typically associated with ripe, nice cherries. And so when you give the enhanced freshness formulation, the ripening is slowed down. So we just with the hexanol formulation, you can see the cherry is slightly reddish. So it will take another 10 days for this cherry to reach this stage. So it slowed down the whole ripening process. And with this EFF, with the other ingredients, you can still reduce it further. And so a farmer can have multiple trees sprayed with sprayed or unsprayed. See, for example, if he wants to market something very fast, so he has this one. And so if he can stop the birds from eating, then you can use this spray and that control the ripening. So you can control the ripening to delay about 1 month. And then the storage, you still another 2 months. So altogether, the harvesting window of cherries can be extended from 1 week or 10 days to about 1.5 months to 2 months. So this is a better way of also collecting and marketing, and so the grower gets a better return. So cherry, yes.
Does it work the same way in plums?
What did you say?
Can it work in a similar fashion with plums?
Oh yes, the plum is another one. We have tried on plums, but not too many times. But the plum, it works on plum, but I have to standardize all the conditions. Yeah, it will work on plum, apricot, plum, all those fruits will respond to it. Strawberries, we can. One of the major things that we found in strawberries was reduction in the fungal growth. And if it is sprayed on strawberries, some of the strawberries are beautiful. Like the color development is so nice. But I need to do more work on strawberries. So this was treated with the hexanol vapor, not sprayed. So the vapor can reduce the fungal infection. And this has been shown to occur in other fruits also, in bananas. It works well in peaches. So here is the control. And after 21 days, it's starting to slowly damage. And this was the control that was dipped in the formulation. It's still better. This was sprayed with hexanol composition and then again dipped with the formulation. So this is in a very good condition. So this is the peaches that was after 6 weeks of storage, dipped the peaches, sprayed and dipped. The controls were all damaged by the time point. So these are still in very good condition to use. Tropical fruits, that's where the best effect is obtained. For example, mangoes. Mangoes go bad very fast. And one issue with the mango cultivation is that all mangoes ripen mostly in the same time. So you get everything ripening in about 10 days, and the market is flooded with mangoes. And half of it goes waste because the value goes down. People don't get enough the price. And so here the middlemen used to act a lot. I mean, they used to buy these mangoes, probably store it, and they used to handle that way. But generally, when there's a glut in the market, the value just comes down. So here, we have a sprays like this. Because it's a spray from outside to in, or you can spray it from inside to out. You can extend the shelf life to about 35 to 40 days. So this is the schematics of how mango is harvested, or if it is dipped and then dried and then stored in the cold, and then it stays there. This is about 10 to 15 degrees Celsius, and it stores very well. For example, here there are two varieties. This is the Alfonso, and this is another variety called Bangarapalli. And so this was treated with hexanol, sprayed with hexanol. And here it was sprayed with hexanol. This is still green. And after 2 weeks, it is just this is controlled and it is ripened. So this hasn't ripened yet. It will store for another 2 weeks to a month. So by giving this treatment, again, you can broaden the marketing window from 10 to 15 days. You can market it to over 2 months. And we again have observed the mangoes also drop, like apples. 50% of the mangoes will be on the ground. So here, this also prevents the precautious the abscission or the dropping of the fruits from the tree. So that's another advantage. So here there is this after 21 days of storage, the ripe fruits as a control in air. So the anthracnose is starting to develop. You can see this fungus infection on the skin. And the one which is treated with hexanol is storing well. This is in air, it's ripened. And the one, this is stored in the cold at 10 degrees. So still it has ripened. So this is at 21 days. So this will go for another 20, easily 20 days of roasting more. So these are some of the physiological effects. So you see there are so many parameters that it's downregulated. There is no loss in weight. There is less of ethylene form. There is less respiration. So all this causes the increase in shelf life. And so you also have more sugars because less of it is burned down by respiration. So fruits are sweeter. And so if you keep it in the cold, you get a much better effect and reduce drought. So overall, a farmer can get or reduce the loss by to 5%.
Thank you. Do you mind if I ask a couple questions from the audience in the for a brief period? Because I think this relates to the presentation. First question is by Ryan Miller, SQ1.
Yes.
Hold on, let me just get up.
Oh, this was the question on the raspberry that
yes.
Okay, I remember that question. So with respect to raspberries, we did some trial. Raspberry is a very soft fruit, so it is even if you treat something, you may not get too much of an extension. But what we found was that the raspberry tends to hold on to the stalk when it is ripe. So we did. This was only one season trial. And, so you may get a little bit of extension, not too much on raspberries. So probably I need to do more experiments before I can confirm anything. But chances are that you can, if it is 3 days or 4 days, you can extend it to 2 weeks. That can happen. With respect to the papa fruits, I'm glad that somebody is growing it. I didn't know that people were growing it here. And so if this grower can contact me later, probably, I don't know, this season or like next season, I can prepare some hexanol formulation and give, you can do a pre-harvest spray or a dip. And I'm pretty much sure it will work on papa fruits. We haven't tried any of that particular family, the Ananaceae, but it's also a fast ripening sort of a fruit. But we can, with the pre-harvest spray, I'm sure pre-harvest spray will work on it. Or we can even try dips. So yeah, if you can contact me later, I will help him out.
Sounds awesome.
Okay.
Let's continue.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so moving on. So this is guava. Guava is another difficult fruit to store because normally if it's not treated, it won't store for more than 4 or 5 days. And one thing is that once it ripens, then the taste is gone and the flavor is bad. So you have to keep it in this condition. This is good. So this was sprayed guava, and this was sprayed guava. It's one of the major crop in India. Very nice fruit because it doesn't have much sugar. Typically good for diabetics because they can eat as much as they want without increasing the sugar. And but the storage life is the biggest issue. See what happens within this 2 weeks. So and by 1 month it's totally damaged. So yeah, so by the spraying with the external formulation, you can extend the shelf life of guava. So there are so many tropical fruits that you can be, whose shelf life can be extended in this manner. So this is the papaya. It's in Ivory Coast. They are dipping it in solution. So you see how the diluted solution looks like. It's just like a soapy sort of solution. And you can touch it, nothing. So the papaya also, they export all this papaya to France. So they have an interest in extending shelf life. So this is the control. See, so many fruits have fallen off. This is sprayed. This is sprayed with the hexanal formulation, so it retains a lot of fruits. The size is almost the same. The camera was closer to this particular tree. That's the reason. So a lot of fruits are retained, reduced drop. And so once it is harvested and after 8 days, it's still green, it's treated, but then after 15 days, it starts to ripen. So they get a good improvement in shelf life. This is the plantains. And plantains is something which responds very well. So for example, this was sprayed with the formulation. So formulation, the one here, which was not treated. So it's starting to ripen. See on the stroke and it's already ripening. So again, it can delay. And so even in, yeah, there's another one. So mangoes, this in Sri Lanka. So here, see, for example, in this experiment, what they did was they took the bunches of bananas. Each one is an individual bunch, and then they dipped it in the formulation. So this was controlled, it's not dipped. And so this was treated, dipped. And so this is kept at room temperature, and these two are kept at cold. I think this must be 10 degrees, but it says 4 degrees, something like that. So you see, by 9 days, it's all ripened. And from then on, it's going bad. While with this, the treated one is still good by 18 days. And if it's kept in the cold, so see this control, it ripens by about 15 days. And the treated one, you can keep it up to about 30, 35 days. This is the intact bunch. So with some other varieties, so this is a different variety. There are different varieties of bananas. And this is not the Cavendish banana you see. This is a exotic type of banana that you have. And yeah, so the different bunches they respond differently. Different types they respond differently.
I have a quick question. Could we theoretically use hexanol to delay ripening so we can have a wider variety of different types of banana be shipped throughout the world?
Yes, right. It can be used. For example, if you get say 30 days of shelf life, so that is enough to ship the bananas for half the way around the world by ship. So there was a grower from Italy who, no, a marketer from Italy who got mangoes from India, and so they had about 30 tons of mangoes were shipped to Italy. But what happened was that all these were treated. So these were sent to Spain instead of going to Italy. It went to Spain first, and from Spain then it got into a truck and it was driven all the way to Italy. So it took 29 days for the mangoes to reach from India to Italy. Okay, and when they opened, it was still fine. So they could still market the fruits. Yeah, so that happened. So it is possible to do the shipping like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. This is the bell pepper. See, for example, bell pepper ripens. So you get these are the ripe bell peppers. So this is the green stage or the red stage. So it's starting treating with hexanal. It reduces the ripening. You see with the higher concentration of hexanal vapor, it is green even after 14 days when it is started ripening in these. So we can control the ripening in bell peppers. Yeah, so you'll have to give about 6 to 12 hours of treatment. So this is the sort of a chamber people can use, can have trays, or this is just a polythene bag, and you can put the fruits in it. stack one or the other and put the hexanal on top. And hexanal is vapor, it will vaporize, it will fall down, or I mean, it will mix with the air, so it will just permeate through the fruits, and the fruits will absorb it very fast. It's a organic chemical, right? So that's the way the treatment is done. So all these have been explained in detail in the YouTube link. It's safe to many of the organisms, environmental bees. It's safe to bees. So even if you spray in the morning, the bees take out the honey. It doesn't cause much of a problem. Then safe to fish. Human cells up to even 400 ppm. So you need a very high concentration to kill all the cells. So this was the Canadian investment into Canada supported these programs through Canadian International Food Security Research Fund. This is the minister who came to University of Guelph. I'm just going to skip these because these are agricultural sector, and so these are all some of the fruits we have tried out, and whether it will work on for pre-harvest spray, DAPE, or hexanal. Some of these we haven't determined, but it may respond. So there are some which are suitable for vapor treatment, and some which are not good for dip treatment. For example, strawberry, blueberry, etc. You cannot dip. Because if there is too much water, it may get damaged. So these are all the fruits that we have tried out. There's more interest in citrus fruits, grapes, cherry, peach, plum, pear. So all these are fair game. So these are the methods of the compositions, spray, vapor treatment. So these are all the calculations, how much you have to use for so much fruits. So people can look at it, and if there's any questions they can ask me. So I'm just put this to show the what people could have, like a small kind of a chamber, or you can have now the solar chambers are becoming more popular, and that's one way of reducing the damage. And so it's becoming popular in Africa, India. So this is the one, because this is one that is being manufactured in India. And so a farmer can simply get one of these, and he can store materials in it so that he doesn't get damaged that fast. And sunlight is plenty. Okay, I think this was solar food chain, cold chain initiative from the World Food Preservation Center. Okay, so I think that is now. And now, if you want to ask me questions,
I think that's everything we need to cover. Thank you for accepting this interview, Dr. Paliyath, and this is where I say thank you to all the viewers who will be watching once this thing gets uploaded. And Dr. Paliyath, do you have any closing words for our audience coming up?
So what my words are, agriculture is the cornerstone for every society. If the agriculture collapses, the whole society will collapse. And history has taught us this. And the agriculture can collapse because of several reasons: climate change, lack of water, river stops flowing, there's no water, so what to do? So there are so many things like that, or maybe the pests attacking one particular crop, and if there is continuous pest incidences, then agriculture will collapse. So what this results in, that whole society changes. They have to move to a different place. So we have to have the food production. Food production is the first requirement for any society, not IT. IT comes only next. So once this is secured, then everything else is secure. So our whole civilization depends on that. So that is my wisdom. Okay, so yeah.
All right, make sure you send me a copy of this recording and we should be good to go.
Oh, yeah, I will send you this, and yeah, I believe I have given you that YouTube link. If not, I will send you that. Okay, so you can distribute it whoever wants once. Again, once.
Thank you for coming on, and
Okay,
hopefully this will be the beginning of a really cool new series of videos.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. So we will stop this. Okay, good. So you are doing well?
Yep, I'm doing well.
Okay.
Well, I think it's time we sign off. I haven't had breakfast yet.
Oh, it's a lunchtime now. It's a brunch. Okay, so yeah. In September, did you finish?
What?
Did you finish? Did you complete your the coursework? Did you graduate? No, not yet.
I still have one more.
What semester to go?
I still have got about 2, maybe 3 semesters. Actually, I've got 3 semesters left on the table, but that's about it.
I see. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know whether we'll have teaching, I mean, like face-to-face teaching in the fall. I have only one course, one graduate course in the fall. But then 22 to 22, I will have to come back again. I have my 4380 and 3310. Then I don't know. I might stop teaching the full Taoist. I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll see.
Yep. Well, I better get going. Thank you for hanging around for a little bit.
No problem. So we'll see you later.
See you later.
Yeah, bye.